To install the Watts 4SV or 5SV reverse osmosis systems, you'll need a few simple tools: a tubing cutter or sturdy pair of shears, a variable speed drill with a 1/8 and 1/4 inch drill bits, an adjustable wrench, a 5/8 inch open end wrench, and a Phillips screwdriver. Some sinks have pre-drilled 1 1/4 inch or 1 1/2 inch holes that are suitable for the installation of your drinking water faucet. If your sink or countertop does not, you will need to drill a 1-inch hole to mount your RO faucet. If your countertop is a solid surface like marble or porcelain, Watts recommends hiring a licensed contractor to avoid potential damage. First, ensure the escutcheon plate and rubber gasket are in place. Then feed both the red and black tubing through the hole in the sink or countertop until the faucet is seated. From the underside of the sink, slide on the slotted metal washer, plastic spacer with the open end up, washer, lock washer, and locking nut onto the threaded stem and hand tighten. Check the orientation of the faucet, then tighten the nut securely using a wrench. Next, locate the blue 1/4 inch tube in the faucet box. Remove a brass nut, plastic Delrin sleeve, and plastic insert from the faucet parts bag, and place the brass nut with the open end out on the blue tube. Then take the plastic sleeve and slide it over the same tube. Once you have done so, you can then push the plastic insert all the way into the end of the tube. Push this assembly into the base of the threaded stem until it stops. Slide the compression nut and plastic sleeve up until you can thread the nut onto the faucet stem. After hand tightening, use a wrench to securely tighten the compression nut while continuing to hold the tube in place. After installing the faucet, you are going to install the adaptive valve. Now, as an important note, you must install this on the cold water side. If you install on the hot water side, you will damage the system and void any warranty. The first step is to turn off your cold water supply at the supply stop, typically the knob on the right-hand side here. Be sure to place a small bowl underneath the angle stop to catch any water runoff when disconnecting the kitchen faucet hose. Once turned off, you'll want to turn on your cold water faucet to drain and depressurize the plumbing system. When the faucet stops dripping, you may close the faucet. Then you'll disconnect the kitchen faucet hose from the cold water supply stop. The adaptive valve works with kitchen faucet connections that use a 3/8 inch or 1/2 inch compression connection. If your supply stop uses a 3/8 inch connection, start by inserting the white rubber washer into the washerless brass adapter. Insert the adapter and washer into the female threaded end of the adaptive valve and hand tighten. Then, attach the adapter with the black washer to the male threaded end of the adaptive valve like this. Tighten with a wrench until secure, but do not over-tighten. Next, attach this assembly to the male end of the cold water supply stop and tighten with a wrench. Lastly, you will connect the supply line from the faucet to the male threaded end of the adaptive valve. Use a crescent wrench and take care to not over-tighten. To install using a 1/2 inch connection, the brass adapter pieces are not required. Do not open the angle stop at this time. To ensure proper drainage, the drain saddle must be installed a minimum of 1 1/2 inches above the P-trap elbows nut, or the crossbar connected to a garbage disposal. Do not install a drain saddle on the crossbar. For this single sink installation, the drain saddle will be installed on the drainage line below the sink. The hole for the drain saddle will be oriented towards the drinking water faucet. Mark the location for the drain saddle at least 1 1/2 inches above the nut of the P-trap elbow or crossbar. Positioning the drain saddle too low can cause water to back up and leak from the air gap. If positioned too high, you increase the chance of hearing water draining while the system is operating. We'll use the 1/4 inch drill bit to create an opening in the pipe, taking extra care to only drill through one side. These parts are required to prepare the drain saddle for installation. Apply the foam gasket to the inside curve of the saddle after you remove the paper backing and inner foam piece. Ensure the gasket and drain saddle holes are aligned. Insert nuts into the cutouts provided in the drain saddle pieces. Next, thread the screws through the sides and join the two saddle pieces over the drain pipe. Before tightening fully, use the screwdriver to help you align the drain saddle hole with the drilled pipe opening. Finish tightening the drain saddle bolts evenly on both sides. Now, we'll take the 3/8 inch black tubing from the faucet and position it beside the drain saddle to determine how much to trim. This length of tubing must be as short and straight as possible, creating a downward slope from the faucet. Cut the tubing to length and push the end into the fitting on the side of the drain saddle. This is a gravity-fed line. If the drain saddle is not positioned properly, or if there are any bends or dips in the tube, the rinse water will not flow into the drain properly. This will cause water to back up and potentially come out of the air gap hole in the faucet. If the tubing is excessively long, you can trim with a tubing cutter, taking care to make a straight cut. Before cutting any tubing shorter, determine your desired mounting location and make sure that you have enough tubing length to dismount the system to perform any required maintenance. Locate the blue tube from the faucet and connect it to the fitting attached to the outlet of the final polishing filter. Finger tighten the nut and use a 5/8 inch wrench to tighten the white plastic nut securely. Be careful not to over tighten the fitting. Next, locate the 1/4 inch green tube attached to the inlet of the system and connect the tube to the 1/4 inch quick connect fitting on the adaptive valve. Make sure to push the tube in all the way to the tube stop. Locate the 1/4x1/4 compression union from the parts bag and attach it to the 1/4 inch red tubing from the RO membrane. Finger tighten the nut and then use a 5/8 inch wrench to tighten securely. Now connect the red tube from the faucet to the union. Finger tighten the nut and then use a 5/8 inch wrench to tighten the nut securely. Do not disconnect, discard, or cut the red tubing connected to the RO membrane, as this contains the flow restrictor, which is essential to the operation of your system. Now you're ready to mount the system to the cabinet, allowing several inches of clearance from the bottom for easy filter removal and replacement. To determine your mounting location, raise the system up 2 or 3 inches from the cabinet bottom and use a pencil to mark the eyelet locations in the bracket. Set the system aside and drill 1/8 inch pilot holes for the mounting screws. Using a Phillips head screwdriver or electric drill, install your mounting screws. Leave a 3/8 inch gap to allow the bracket to fit between the screw heads and the cabinet wall. Lift the system into place. With the system now mounted in your kitchen cabinet, we'll install the tank ball valve. Using the provided Teflon tape, wrap 7 to 12 turns in a clockwise direction around the male pipe threads on the stainless steel fitting on top of the tank. Be careful not to cover the opening with tape. Now, thread the elbow ball valve by hand onto the male pipe threads of the tank. Do not over tighten, as the plastic could crack. Finally, position the tank in the desired location. You may stand it upright or lay it on its side using the black plastic stand. Measure the blue tube connected to the T-fitting on the final polishing filter to the tank fitting and cut it to the length, leaving a straight, square edge. Then connect the blue tube to the compression fitting of the ball valve. Finger tighten the nut and add a 1/4 turn with a wrench. Once the system is completely connected, turn on your cold water supply at the angle stop. Then turn your RO dispensing faucet handle to the open position to purge the air and allow water to flow through your system. Once the water begins to trickle out, close the faucet and allow the storage tank to fill with water. This may take 3 to 6 hours depending on the production capability of the membrane, local water temperature, and water pressure. After the storage tank has filled, open the RO faucet to flush the tank completely. This will help to flush out all the air and carbon fines from the system. Repeat this step 2 more times, and on the 4th tank, you'll be able to enjoy clean, clear, great tasting water. Enjoy your clean, safe, great tasting water, and visit us at premierh2o.com to subscribe for special offers and register your new system.